The doorbell startled me when it sounded. I went to the peephole, and seeing that it was only Aunt Jessica, I opened the door. She was startled to see a stranger standing in front of her. She said, "Hello, I'm Jessica Tate. I'm here to visit my sister Susan." I decided to see if I could fool her. "Please come in, Miss Tate. Mrs. Ramsey told me that you were coming." "Do I know you? You look so familiar, somehow." "I'm sorry, my name is Crystal. I'm a friend of Carol's. I stayed over last night." Carol and Mrs. Ramsey are dressing. They should be down shortly. "Can I offer you something? Some iced tea or lemonade?" "No thank you, Crystal. I'm fine." "Have we met before? I have this nagging feeling that I should know you." "Yes, I believe that we've met. Do you just get into town?" "Yes, I came for the festivities. I've been invited to go to the fair with Carol and Mrs. Ramsey. Are you going as well?" "Yes, I am." "Wonderful. It looks like we'll have a nice day. The weather report is for sunshine and moderate temperatures." Just then Mom came down. Aunt Jessica went to greet her. They kissed and exchanged pleasantries for a minute. Then Mom gestured towards me and said, "I saw that you and Crystal were having a conversation. Did you recognize her? I know that she looks very familiar." She said that she believes that we've met before. "I'm sure of it. She's my daughter." "What? What are you talking about? You only have one daughter, Carol. I would know if you had another." "Well, you're wrong. Crystal is my flesh and blood." Aunt Jessica just stood and looked at me. I smiled demurely. Aunt Jessica said, "I do see a family resemblance, but it's not possible." "What's the punchline, sis?" "Well, before Crystal grew breasts, she was my son, Carrie." Aunt Jessica just stood there with her mouth hanging open. "You're telling me that this is Carrie?" She just stood there staring at my breasts where they pushed up through the dress. "No. This is Crystal. But she used to be Carrie." I said, "Hi, Aunt Jess." Aunt Jessica took 2 steps backward, backing into the wall behind her. She shook her head but never took her eyes off me. I turned around slowly so that she could get a good look at me. Finally she said, "How? When? Why?" Mom said, "Jess, get a hold of yourself. I'll explain everything. Let's go into the kitchen so that I can start on Crystal's hair." Aunt Jessica didn't seem to hear, so I started walking towards the kitchen. Mom grabbed her arm and pulled her along. I sat down in one of the kitchen chairs and crossed my legs. Mom led Aunt Jessica to another and pushed her down. Then Mom walked around behind me and started to remove the rollers. Mom said, "It's really quite funny, Jess." Carrie was helping out at a local community theater. The director challenged the wardrobe lady and the makeup lady to see if they could make him look, convincingly, like a woman. When they were done, the cast, who was not aware of the wager, was invited to evaluate the performance of the new girl. No one suspected that Crystal was really Carrie. The wardrobe lady and the makeup lady won the bet. But when they were removing the costume, they discovered that part of it wouldn't come off. The adhesive used to attach the breasts wouldn't separate when the solvent was applied. They can't reach the company that made them until after the weekend is over. Crystal agreed not to destroy them because they're extremely expensive. So, since a boy can't walk around with a 36C chest, Crystal was born, and will be with us until they can remove the breasts. Aunt Jessica said, if you didn't tell me, I would never have thought that this blonde bombshell is not a woman. That's the whole idea. Crystal is hiding in plain sight. But those breasts. They look so real. Crystal, would you mind if I felt them? Not at all, Aunt Jess. She came over to me and cupped the breasts. First feeling the weight, then the texture. The vibrations from her touch traveled to my chest. It felt like a fly walking across my skin. She ran her finger over the spot where they joined my chest, trying to find the seam. Finally, she went back and sat back down. Crystal, they're perfect. No one will ever know. Your secrets should be safe until they can be removed. Mom had continued working on my hair while Aunt Jess had examined my breasts. She was almost done after having combed and brushed it. She took scissors and cut a little bit here and there. Then she sat in front of me and worked on my face. I watched in a handheld mirror as she worked. She explained at each step and told me a few secrets that she had learned over the years about various brands of makeup. When she was done, I looked like an 18-year-old blonde bimbo. Carol came in as she was finishing up and whistled as I turned around for my audience to see me. Aunt Jess stood up and embraced Carol in greeting. Aunt Jess said, Carol, I take it that you approve of Crystal being here? I think that it's great to have a little sister, even if it's only for a few days. I'm jealous of Crystal's body though. It makes me want to run to the clinic and have my breasts augmented. Aunt Jessica said, be patient, you're still growing. You'll probably be as large as your sister in a couple of years. I noticed that Carol had put on a very sexy dress also. I guess that it was true that my appearance was intimidating her. But it didn't stop her from helping me. We went upstairs so that we could pick out some jewelry for me. I selected a pair of earrings that I had always liked on her and she put them on me. She gave me several bracelets to wear and a delicate gold necklace. We sat at her dressing table and did our nails. After a few dabs of perfume, we were ready to leave. We each grabbed our purse, and we went downstairs. 10 minutes later, we headed for the restaurant where Mom had made reservations. And it was good that she had. The restaurant was packed. Even with reservations, we had a 5-minute wait. Without reservations, there would have been no point in waiting, since the line stretched out the front door. As we waited, another party with reservations came in. One of the members was Debbie, the young girl that was playing Daphne in the play. She did a double take when she saw me but then looked away. I didn't make eye contact with her because I was hoping that she wouldn't recognize me. After a couple of minutes she came over to me and said, Crystal, is that you? Hi, Debbie. I smiled slightly. I can't believe it. I thought that it was you, but you're not wearing the long wig. Your own hair looks wonderful, and I see that you've changed the color a little. It's a little lighter. I'm really surprised to see you dressed like this. I thought that you were only going along with Mr. Tucker's little joke. I had no idea that you lived like this. I think that it's so exciting. Does everybody know? When she paused to take a breath, I said, no. Nobody else knows that I'm Crystal. Except for my family. I hadn't wanted to get into long explanations in the restaurant foyer, where someone else could overhear. I introduced my mom, Aunt Jessica, and Carol. My mom said, Debbie, I hope that you won't say anything about this to anyone else. It could cause Crystal great distress if people knew. You can count on me, Mrs. Ramsey. I won't tell a soul. Crystal looks so beautiful that nobody would believe me anyway. Just then our table was ready, so we said our goodbyes and followed the hostess to the table. I hoped that Debbie would keep her promise to not tell anyone. I was really shaken up that someone had recognized me. All the confidence that I had built up, because I thought that the disguise was perfect, had deserted me in an instant. It seemed like everybody in the restaurant was staring at me. I kept my eyes diverted and concentrated on where I was going and walking properly in high heels. The stares stopped after we had sat down, and I started to attribute them to just the normal curiosity of people looking to see if they knew the new patrons. During lunch, Aunt Jessica, Carol, and Mom chatted about women's fashions. They treated me as if I was a regular participant to these conversations, in apparent deference to my new appearance. I discovered that I was watching all of their movements very closely, and mimicking their movements and gestures. My intent was not to poke fun at their mannerisms, but rather to adopt them as part of my disguise. Please subscribe for the next part, and visit my Patreon page for early access. Patreon.com/Eden07. Link in the comment. Thanks.